hi Carsten, thank you so much for this interview and for your time. And we talked at the beginning of 2021, and now that you have a better overview of this last year, did the pandemic have a substantial impact on LS retail work? And can you say that has been a clear increase in interest of these types of solutions?
Yes, of course. You could say 1 year ago, people, the industry, everybody were pretty much struck by panic. Stores were closing, shopping malls were closing, and people had to reinvent retail themselves. You know, we saw fashion retailers starting to sell goods out of the back windows because people were not allowed to come in. So that caused probably the entire industry to think in new ways. How can we be prepared for this next time? You know, a lot of them had to send back people to work from home, which meant the retail IT systems in the stores were not really operating because there were nobody in the stores to operate them. So now we see a lot of interest from the industry in general to come up with solutions which can make them prepared for the next big event. Because now we know there will be other events. I was here in 2019. You know, the entire event, including the food area, were in the little pavilion. Now, this year, we see a huge expo, and I think this is a sign of the industry, not just retail, but business in general needs to come out and meet each other, needs to start doing business again. In LS Retail, we also see this. We have seen retailers who were planning to invest in new technology at the end of 2020, postponed it, and now with the vaccines, with the pressure going down, we now see a new optimism. We see more investment into retail, alongside with a lot of helping programs in Europe, in the US. So there's a large amount of optimism which we haven't seen in many years. In general, this would be contactless retail. We learned from the pandemic that interaction between retailers and customers could be a risk. So we have seen the e-commerce expanding. We see a lot of our old customers now expanding into e-commerce. But strangely enough, we also see pure e-commerce retailers starting 1 or 2 stores because they want to be closer to the customers. Secondly, we also see in the stores a lot of demand for self-scanning, self-service, self-checkouts. 35% of customers in the store prefer not to have personal interaction. But you also see a need from the retailer to actually interact with the customer. Because the retailer realized now that they are in between producers and the consumer. And unless they create value for the consumer, the producers will just ship directly to the customer, cutting out retail. You could say in general, it was very good for stores selling all sorts of foods, because restaurants closed down, canteens closed down. So the only place where people could buy food were in supermarkets or stores selling food. They saw a huge uptake because people had no other alternative. Fashion were badly hit. A lot of specialty retail were badly hit. We saw a huge increase in garden centers, in do-it-yourself stores, bike shops, shops selling fitness equipment and things like that. So people were not entirely working from home. They also did a lot of other activities. Last year we would say prepare for e-commerce. Last year we'd say the focus now is for unified commerce, taking all sorts of retail, putting it together, making sure that there is a customer journey from the first interaction to the customer purchase, and you service the customer afterwards. For example, Arquiconsult have made retail solutions which keep the contact between consumers and retailers after the purchase. That would have been the focus last year. Now, with the pandemic in mind, we need to take it a little bit further. You need to be prepared for more circumstances. You need to be prepared for a suddenly shutdown of your physical store. This forces you to think about 2 or 3 things. First of all, you must have an alternative to your store. You must be able to do deliveries, click and collect, or what is called curbside retail, where you pretty much hand out goods from the window to waiting cars. So everybody are fighting to get, for example, consumer electronics to Europe before Black Friday. So the more precisely you can forecast your demand and make your purchase in time, the larger is the likelihood that you will always have goods available to sell in your stores. Well, since last time, Arquiconsult and LS Retail have celebrated 20 years of cooperation. 20 years is a lot in this business. Just imagine what a mobile phone looked like 20 years ago. So we have gone a long way. Arquiconsult has gone through a transition process from being a local Portuguese company to expand into being an Iberica company and now being more or less an international or global player. Arquiconsult is representing our products directly in Spain and Portugal. We have also won a few very large strategic projects. A very large project in UK, and that created a demand for professional services. So we have had a lot of people from Arquiconsult working alongside LS Retail Consulting Services to do this very demanding project. So you could say our cooperation has been constantly increasing since we talked last time. So we are now seeing LS Retail expanding in many countries in Africa, and that will include some of the countries where Arquiconsult is directly represented. So yes, this will expand.
Okay, thank you very much. And
You're welcome. See you next time.
Thank you very much.